All right, so this video is going to be about an app you can use on your iPad. I am not 100% sure if it's available on Android tablet devices. I want to say I think it is. It's called Explain Everything. So it's right down here. I'm going to use my mouse to point it out. It's this app right here. It's called Explain Everything. And this is just a mirror image of my iPad itself. So you can actually see, this is essentially what my iPad looks like. So you're going to see exactly what the features are. So if you're looking to flip your classroom, there's a ton of different ways you can do it. And when you start to look online, it gets very intimidating very quickly. So when I started doing my own research, I discovered this app called Explain Everything. And this is what I started with. I have moved on to kind of more, I don't want to say more advanced, but a different method to filming my videos that I like better now. And I expect that this will continue to evolve over time as I discover more technology or more ways to try and do it. But this is a really great place to start. And it kind of helps you just kind of get your feet wet with the idea of flipping the classroom. And it's not overly intimidating. Like I said, when I first started looking, I found tons of different videos, but they were all very intense. Some of them had like green screens and they had like camera setups and this huge, crazy setup. And I was just like, I don't have time. I can't do that. So when I delved a little bit deeper, I did find this Explain Everything. And I was like, this is perfect. This is a great place to start. And then I just kind of evolved from there. So again, like I said, the app I'm going to be using is called Explain Everything. It does cost money. I think when I bought it, because I actually bought it a while ago, I think it was only like $4 or $5. I want to say I think it's $10 now. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to check. But it's worth it. I've just used it consistently, so I really like that app. So we're going to go ahead and open it now. So we open up Explain Everything. So this is actually, sorry, let me take you to the home screen. So I'm going to erase this. It should have opened up to the home screen. So this is what you should see. This is your home screen right here. All right, so it opens up. If it's the first time opening it, it's probably going to kind of take you through a tutorial, say, do you want to see these features? Obviously, you can totally go see the features. Or you can just mess around with it. That's kind of how I've learned everything with technology. I either Google it or I just play with it and figure it out. So I think that's kind of the best way to learn is just fiddle with it and see what happens. So what you have different buttons up here. So this is just your information button. Oops, sorry. This is your information button. All right. It kind of gives you the welcome guide, some help, video tutorials, all that good stuff right there. All right. Next to that, you have your settings button. So you can pick ink, clear, like there's tons of different things. Honestly, I have not messed with this that much. So I was actually just looking at this drawing style and that might be very interesting to try. Different ways to export it. I keep using my mouse and sorry. So different resolutions you can choose from. I generally just go with the standard setting. I haven't done enough research to figure out which would be the best resolution, which is my next step. So it's really up to you. If you are a little bit more advanced with that, you know what resolution you want, you can pick. You have the record option. All right. So you have your front camera resolution, your rear camera resolution. It's just a matter of what you're trying to do with it. I generally use the front camera more than the rear camera and all that good stuff. You don't have to use a camera if you don't want. And then your accounts, which I'm not going to go to. All right, so then you have over here on the left side, you have different options to get started with. So our first one is this plus sign right here. And this is just pick a template and you're just writing directly on the screen. You haven't imported anything. You haven't picked any sort of PowerPoint or PDF that you want to use. This is just starting from scratch. And you have different templates you can choose from. You can choose the portrait view, which I guess it just changes it. I do landscape, and then your HD TV. So you can select any one of those. So that's your templates. Next option you have is this right here where you're going to import some file. So you can import from your photos, from a Dropbox account, a Google Drive account, from your iTunes. I don't know what WebDAV is. I've never used it. Box, which I'm assuming is another form of like a Dropbox. A OneDrive, Evernote, Future Classroom, SchoolYouTube, and iCloud and apps. So you can really open from almost anything. And then this is your export. It's not doing anything because I have nothing to export. This is your export button. So you can export it out. So let's start with the template just so I can go over some stuff and then I'll open up an actual file as well. So if you were just going to create any sort of template that you wanted, starting from scratch, you can pick any one of these. You can always change it over time. I don't think, yeah, it's just the 4. I personally, for my own like aesthetic reasons, I like the black background. I like to change the ink colors as well. I like using like the hot neon colors. Some people don't like that. You could just choose a regular white background. So once you've selected your template, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see this screen right here. So again, I have the black background. That's why mine's black. I'm going to go home real quick and let's pick a white one actually, because that might be easier for some. And then you have the white background. Either way, it's just a matter of your own personal preference. So I'm going to go back to my black background. All right, so now you have these different options over here, and I haven't even messed with all of them, to be honest, because I haven't felt the necessity to. This top one up here is just, it basically is like your cursor. It allows you to move things around, and I'll show you what that is in a minute. Then you have your drawing tool, which is right below that. Now, if you double click on it again, you can see that you can actually select the different size, all right? You can turn off auto group. Auto group is where when you write out, say like a math equation and then show the actual work, they will actually group them together. And then that way, if you want to move them, which I'll show you in a little bit, you can actually move the entire thing out of the way. So I like having the auto group on most of the time. Sometimes it's a pain, but for the most part, I like it. Then you have your highlight tool. Again, if you double click on it, you can see that you have different like sizes of highlight that you can use. Then you have shapes. Click on that. You have different shapes. You have circle, square, arrow, just a thin line, a thick line, and a star. You can add a shadow to it. You can give it a strong border, a weak border, no border, and you can auto group it as well. You have text options. So you can actually choose the font. It has a ton of options font-wise, actually. So you can choose the font that you want. You can choose the font size. You can choose if it has a border or not and auto group it. You have, now this is where if you're doing the flipped classroom, if you want video footage, or even if you don't want video footage, there's lots of options here. This is one I've used a lot. So what you have here is you can add in a photo, video, or file that already exists. So that it needs to exist on your iPad, but you just click on that. It'll open up, again, these options of either, photos, whatever it is you want, and you can select something to put into your presentation there. You can do an existing sound, which, again, it allows you to select from whatever is available on your iPad. So keep in mind, I'm using an iPad here. This comes from the iPad itself, so you need to make sure that it's on there, not on your computer if you're using this. You can add in a math equation, which is really, really nice. All right, so they give you all these different functions and structures, different symbols you can use. You can draw a graph. All right, if you enter an expression, if you double click on it, it should open it back up. There you go. So it gives you a lot of options there to go with. So it might not have as many options as you would hope, but it's a good start. And you can always write in whatever equation you want as well. All right, so let's go back to this. So you have math equations. You can add in a new photo. So you can take a photo. So now you're looking up at my ceiling. There's my hand. Hello. All right, so you can take a photo. Cancel. You can add in a web browser. All right. So you can actually search for whatever you want here. Let's just go to google.com. Go. And it takes you there. So you can actually if there's a specific simulation online that you want to use or a website you're trying to go over with your students, you can actually put that up and explain everything, and you can actually then record yourself discussing that website. So one thing which I'll go back to this in a minute, is when you're doing this that I really like is you have all these different options for pointers. So that's really helpful when you're trying to demonstrate a website or something. If you're like, hey, I like using the little finger. All right, to use Google, this is your search button. This is your search bar. Here's where you would type in what you're searching for, stuff like that. All right. Now, this is actually a great option to show you how to erase something. So if you look at this little X button right here. That is your erase. So you just click on that, and then you just click on whatever you want to delete. So I'm going to delete this web browser. So as you can see, it now has this outline around it, this dashed outline, and you can just simply click on this, boom, and it's gone. All right. You do need to be careful because you can undo it, but I think you can only undo it to a certain point. So you just be careful. You don't want to erase something that you needed. So there's that. And then the big thing from this button that I want to show you is the new video. So I'm actually going to, give me a second, I'm going to adjust my iPad real quick so you can see it. You go to new video. All right. And so what you see here is you're seeing the back of my iPad, which we don't want. I want to videotape myself. So you're just going to turn it so it's facing you. So you can see my background behind me, you can kind of see my ceiling. So that's one thing that I kind of struggled with is I did not like the angle. Obviously shooting from the bottom up is not a flattering angle. So like when I first started out, I would honestly just prop it up on books so that it would ultimately look like this. So then that way you guys were able to see it. Oh, I don't know why my screen froze. So, okay. Oh, there we go. All right. So, you can adjust that if you don't mind. Like you can look down. Like again, this isn't exactly like the most flattering angle. If that doesn't bother you, then whatever. You could prop it up. You can adjust yourself. Maybe you just lower your chair down more. There's lots of different options here. And of course, if you don't want to record yourself, you don't have to record yourself at all. So again, if you want to delete it, you can delete it. All right. So next we have, so we went over that button. Next, you have the X button. The X button is exactly what we've been using. It's just you click on something and it erases it. There's nothing there to erase right now, so it's not going to work. But that's just it's an erase button, and it's an erase button in two senses. I'm trying to think what the best way to do that. So like, let's say we wrote something out. So let's write hi. All right. And you're like, oh, that's not how I wanted to spell hi. I wanted to write hello. So what you can do, what you hopefully notice, is if you look down here, that X is no longer an X, it's now a little eraser. So if you're writing something, you can just come over, pick the size of the eraser, and you can erase it. All right, so let's erase it. Let's go back to the pencil. Let's write hello. All right, and then you start fidgeting with some stuff, and you go to the pointer, or let's say you want to add a shape in, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, no, I didn't want to write hello. I wanted to write bonjour or something like that. If you look here, it is no longer an eraser. It is now an X. So what you would do is you would click on the X, and then you would just click on the word, and you see that it now once again has this dashed line around it, like a box around it, and this red X. That means that if you click on the X, the hello disappears. All right, so that's another way to erase it. So it's kind of an erase button in two senses. Next, you have your pointer button. All right, you have different options. You have a little red circle, a large red circle. You have different colored arrows. You have regular cursors. You have the actual finger. I like the pointer finger. My students, for a long time, liked this, and then they started saying that the noise was irritating. You have lightsabers. So you can actually use a lightsaber, and you can pick the colors. So you can pick red, green, purple, and then main reason I didn't like it is because it was a little slow, but you press on the thing, and boom. You have a lightsaber pointer. This allows you to move it. So you just have two fingers moving it. So you move it back and forth. If you actually have two hands, you can have two pointers. Whoa, 3. I don't think it does 3. No, nope, yep, there's 3. Let's see, does it do 4? No. So if you need like a lot of pointers, there you go. You can do that. So that's a pretty nifty little trick right there. Like I said, I prefer just the little finger. It's the easiest. It's not the most creative. It's just the easiest. So then you have an editing tool. You can group things. You can ungroup them. You can duplicate, copy, paste. It's like a regular old editing tool. You can flip images. You can rearrange your images, bring stuff forward, put stuff back. You can lock images in place. It's tons of options right there. And then, of course, this is the undo and redo button. Then you have a zoom. All right. And then this just simply makes the toolbar smaller. That's all it does. All right. And then what you will notice down here is you have 3 different colors. So you can actually change these. So this is just the color that's going to be used for either shapes or even text or writing. That's just regular old white. Now, this would just be like a light red. I'm not a huge fan of that color, so what I usually do is if you click on it again, you can select any color you want, and you can make it opaque. You can adjust the shade of it. So I like hot pink. Let's see. Here's my step list. A hot pink color, and then you just boop, boop, boop. Now you have hot pink. You can change the color down here. I like doing blues. I like doing like teal blues, dark blues. I like doing reds. All right. So you can change the colors to whatever you want there. The only thing that I wish there was like 5 of those boxes as opposed to just the 3, because the problem with just the 3 is like if you're trying, like I like to color code things for my students. So if you're trying to color code, you're very limited. But I mean, it's not that big of a deal. You just adjust as necessary. So next we have this down here. All right. Here you have the number of slides. So if you've imported a file, you can look at all of the different slides that you've imported. You can add in a new slide essentially. You can maneuver back and forth between slides here. All right. Then you actually have your record over here. So you hit the red button and it starts to record. So what you hopefully notice down here is you have a timer going, you have the pause button, the stop button. All right. And that's just recording everything that's going on. We're going to go ahead and stop recording. You can play it. So that way it starts to record. Echo. So what you hope. All right, so you can play it and then you can hear back. You can actually pull up this bar and you can see. So like, let's say you wanted to erase the last 2 seconds of it. You could actually do that. You can split it. So let's see. All right. Oh, sorry, hold on. You can lock it so you can't erase anything. Stretch it out, you can squeeze it in. So you just kind of adjust the things from there. And I apologize. I said you could erase it. You don't erase it. Let's say you know that you didn't like the way it ended. What you do is you would start from here and you would re-record over it, essentially. So it's not so much that you erased it, it's so much as you just record over it again. So you can mess with that. And then, of course, over here, we have our export. So you can export it as a video, a PDF, an image, or a project. You can export it to any one of these options that you see here. And so the nice thing is that when you decide to flip your classroom, you need a place to store your videos. I personally like to use YouTube. I've had some people say you should use Google Drive. I like YouTube because, one, it's an open source. Your students can access it at any time, which is nice. It is public, so anyone else can access it. So if you're a little nervous about that, you might not want to. But I really like having it on YouTube. That way it's there, the students can always access it, and I don't care if other people see it because, if anything, it's just helping educate them, so no big deal. So I like YouTube. Google Drive is nice too, especially if you have like a shared Google Drive with your students already. You can just put them right into Google Drive so they can access them there. You can do any one of those. You can select your slides, so you can turn it off so you select which slide you want to export, or you can select all of them. Next, we have this button right here. This is just a save. So you can save your project. Let's label this test. All right. You can save it in a folder if you have a folder already there. If you don't have a folder, then you just save. Now it's been saved, and then you can go to the home button. And there it is. All right. So there's a lot more to go on with Explain Everything, and I'm going to go over more of the features in later videos. So this was just a very quick overview of what exactly all of the features were, and a really great option to start with flipping your classroom. So if there's any specific feature that you would really like to see me demonstrate, any specific type of files, or anything you would specifically like to see for Explain Everything, please just leave a comment below and I will gladly do that for you. All right. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys next time. All right. Thanks. Bye.